I'd like to invite the children to join me. Any youth that would like to come? Parents, you are more than welcome to. So this morning, hello. This morning, Packrat is here, but he has something with him that was a little bit too big to put in his pack, and that is a newspaper. Ugh, I know. Now, newspapers aren't quite as popular as they used to be because now we get our news from all sorts of other places, like our phones, with news apps, or television, or computers, or the radio like we always used to. There's all sorts of ways to get the news. And every day, people from all over the world seek out the news. Because of all the ways we can get the news, and because it is so immediate, we're able to know what's happening in places near and far immediately. And sometimes the news is happy. Like at my house on Thursday night, because the Patriots won, and I could hear my husband, I was in the other room, I could hear him screaming in the living room. Sometimes it's sad or scary, like floods in California, or wars in other places in the world. All our gadgets make getting the news easy and fast. But getting the news is not a new thing, because for thousands of years, people have been paying attention to what other people are experiencing or doing or thinking or saying, because we are curious people and we like to know what's going on, even if the news is sad or scary. And in the gospel today, Jesus talks about bad news, about sad and scary news. But he gives us some wise words. He told his listeners then, and he's telling us now, not to feel trapped by those sad and scary things, not to get overwhelmed. Jesus says that when we hear that kind of news, we need to pay attention to what God has told us. We need to pay attention and listen for God calling us and respond by doing what's right to make God's world a more beautiful place. Now, one of my heroes, and if you're out there, or some of you here will know, one of my heroes is a man named Fred Rogers. And you might know him more as Mr. Rogers. Now, he was a minister in the Presbyterian Church, but he felt that his ministry was not supposed to be in the pulpit. His ministry wasn't supposed to be leading a church. His ministry was supposed to be with children, helping them to know that they're valued. Can you guess why he's my hero? Now, some of us know Mr. Rogers very well because we grew up with him. Some of us have seen him in other syndicated places. But for over 30 years, Mr. Rogers had a TV show on PBS called Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And he taught children about things that might be in the neighborhood, like fire stations or train stations or bakeries. But more importantly, he taught children important lessons like self-esteem and empathy and kindness. Mr. Rogers helped other people, grown-ups, understand that children were important, that their feelings were important, just as important as any of the adults around them. Mr. Rogers used to talk about the feelings we might have when we see sad or scary things happen around us. And one thing he used to say is something his mom used to say to him, and that was, always look for the helpers, because there will always be helpers. Look for the helpers. There will always be helpers. Even when we see sad or scary things in the news, there are still helpers. Sometimes we have to look a little harder to find them, but they're always there. Helpers like firefighters and police officers and first responders, like teachers and coaches and doctors and nurses, and helpers like every single one of us here at Grace Church. Let me give you an example. Now, you know that we've been collecting food for the food pantry because there are a lot of people in the city that don't have enough to eat or don't have enough money to get what they need to eat. And lately, Katie, who's our admin here at the church, told me that we have had about 4 times as many calls as usual from people who are looking for information about the food pantry. When is it open? What do I need to do? 4 times as many. And there have been a lot more people at the food pantry on Wednesdays and Fridays than usual when food is handed out. There is a lot of need out there, which is really sad. And for a lot of people who don't have what they need, it's really scary. But here's the helper part. Since all of this has happened, since we've had about 4 times as many people calling for help, we have also had about 4 times as many people reaching out to the church asking how they can help, asking if they can volunteer, asking how they can donate. We have a special food drive here at the church all through Advent. We're inviting people to bring bags of food. And if you look at the back of the church, behind those pews, there are a lot of bags of food that people have brought in. Now, lots and lots of helpers. Now, in fact, I have some of the food here with me this morning. And if you are one of the kids that's going to come up for the offertory and come up and stand around the altar at communion, I'm going to give you one of these. And I want you to bring it up. And when you come up around the altar, I want you to put it right in front of the altar, right on that little step. We're going to put it all there. And we'll ask God to bless it. And we'll ask God to bless the people who will receive it. And we'll ask God to bless us and help us keep being helpers. Now, with things like Facebook and X and Instagram and texting and whatever else I'm not thinking of, it's so easy to know what's going on in other places. And it can be really easy to start feeling overwhelmed or sad or maybe even frightened when we hear sad and scary news. But God tells us that we don't have to feel that way. God tells us that if we do hear those sad and scary things, it is a great opportunity to share God's good news. It's a great opportunity to decide to be a helper and take action and do God's work and share God's love. God loves us each and every day. And when we know that, really know it, not just in here, but in here, when we know that, we can hear about what's going on in the world